watch it from over there to get a different perspective without having people in the dugout thinking. But I think what you guys have learned today is where you're at.
I'm just talking in general. Why are we rolling it inside as a centre half when we're getting pressed and inviting them to take the ball off us? And them small details is what takes.
So you've had some brilliant additions this year that can really make an impact. Chris Ramsey, who was a former coach at Spurs and QPR. He's now obviously a part of the England setup at a development stage. And obviously former Spurs fullback Pascal Chimbonda. What kind of impact do you think their experience will bring to the boys, especially at this level? Like you said, not all of them are going to make it professional or at MK Dons specifically, but there will be other pathways for them with additions like this that can really help them develop.
Well, yeah, all we've got to do is start with Chris Ramsey, and I think his CV speaks for himself. He's worked at, he's managed QPR's first team, he's been part of the first team coaching team at Spurs, and he's brought through, Harry Kane, Kyle Walker, some of England's finest footballers that have come through his development. And like you said, at the moment he's currently a phase lead at England, so he oversees the under 18s to under 20s. So when Chris and I spoke, he was very passionate about the programme, very passionate about youth development, and I think him being at, in academy football for so many years of his career, I think it was a no-brainer to get him on board, really. I think it will benefit the players really well. I think the contacts he has in football will benefit the players. So, if you're a really, really good footballer and you've got a reference as Chris Ramsey, it's going to take you, a massive distance. So, having his experience, not just for players, but for also coaches. So, we've got some coaches on board that have, coached at various clubs and have got a lot of experience. But having Chris Ramsey around, twice a week for the coach's perspective as well as the players, it's going to be massive in terms of everyone's development. Even from my own perspective, personally, he's had a technical role at QPR for a number of years, so to learn things from him,
so much you can learn as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be a great addition. So he's coming back. Well, he's coming to join us from the 1st of August, so next week Thursday. And then Pascal, Pascal's played over 400 professional games across the Premier League, Championship, played for Spurs, Wigan, Blackburn, Sunderland, QPR, the list keeps going on and on. So for the boys, from that perspective, from both Chris and Pascal, they've been in the pro game for many years, so they know what it takes to get there. So with them being on board and, drilling into the boys' head, these are what you need to do to become a pro, this is what you need to do to have a career in football, it's going to be such a massive impact on the boys. And then we speak about our other coaches like Lorenzo. So Lorenzo, was with you this morning, and Ronnie. So both of them have had, good academy and non-league coaching careers. So Lorenzo was a first-team coach at Wembley and is currently a foundation phase coach at Fulham. So he works with like the under-9s and stuff like that. So he's had a lot of experience in kind of that capacity, knows what boys are expecting to do in non-league football and stuff like that. And same with Ronnie. So in terms of a good coaching core and a good coaching team, they've kind of got the good wraparound, holistic provision that will benefit them in all areas, really.
Perfect. And with those players, like I said, you've got so many coaches that can share a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge with these players, and yourself included as well, who has a lot of years in the game. What is something, especially this year, the start of a new journey, what is something that you're going to try and instill in every player you work with, no matter their level?
I think the most important thing...
Whether physical in terms of their performance or mental.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, even away from the performance on the pitch, is just having that professional mindset. So as soon as you walk through the gates here, it's about having that professional mindset to, you walk in, you do your prehab, there's breakfast here, you have your breakfast, you have the right diet, you train professionally, you do your cool downs, you do your extras at the gym. We've got an S&C team as well, which we use. So it's about having that professional mindset throughout, because that is what differentiates a player that's at an academy, at a first team, to the players we've got here. It's about all them little aspects. So if we can replicate that as much as possible, from our perspective, that's a success in that aspect of it. And we want to have these boys have a positive mindset, because the reality is some of them won't have a career in football, or they're going to have to get a job. So can they instill that same mindset into their career off the pitch, into their day-to-day job, into further education? Exactly, yeah. And I think one thing that people forget about in football is there's so many things that you can gain from football that can be translated into a corporate life. So 9 to 5 job, starting a business, there's so much, discipline's a major thing. So having that correct professional mindset is one thing we've tried to install in the boys very early. And, you know, where they're with us for 2 years, you know, after the 2 years when they left, you know, they should have a really strong professional mindset, which will hopefully kick them on and have really good careers in whatever they're doing.
And any young players that might be watching and trying to find a pathway into men's football, or whether that's non-league or the professional game, what can you know, this new look A95 provide for them?
I think I mentioned it earlier. I think where we, you know, there's a lot of similar programs to us, especially in London, and they've either got no pathways or they've only got one. Now, the thing about having one pathway is that, you know, the first team has only got 16, 20 man squad, and if you've got a lot of players in your program, what's the real chance they're going to get to that? Unless they're really, really good. So, you know, if they're really good, then they probably will play.
That's also quite rare.
But that is quite rare.
They're all going to be
exactly, and also it all depends on loads of factors: the way the team plays, the way the manager likes to do things. There's so many different factors. So every single player fits different systems, like it's just so everything's
so many different factors.
Exactly, it's so vague. So for us having loads of different pathways. When I say loads, I'm not saying we've got 100, but we've got, you know, 5 or 6 different non-league pathways at different levels where every team plays differently, every manager's differently. Some managers like to use more experienced players, but good youth. Some managers like to use a lot of youth and like to develop them. So again, it gives them different pathways and stuff. So I think for us and for any young players looking, it's about, okay, we've got loads of, you know, non-league pathways which can help you play non-league football, but also as well, us having that direct pathway of MK Dons. I mean, their coaching team, everything they do at the academy we do. So we follow their curriculum. We're frequently visited by their coaching staff and vice versa. So, you know, if you're good enough here and MK Dons have a look at you and they think, okay, we want to take you over, it's literally just a transition straight over. It's none of this, you know, speak to someone. It's just how the academy would work, really. So I think that's the main thing, is that there's lots of different pathways to cater to different kind of players.
And obviously we are in that kind of critical period, pre-season. You know, a lot of players are going back. A lot of players are especially at non-league level, looking to kind of transfer and move on to different clubs, climb the ladder. What is kind of a piece of advice for someone like you who's really experienced, a piece of advice for those players that are trying to kind of take that step up and grow in the game?
I think the most important thing for any young player or any player in general is making sure that you've really fine-tuned the basics of football. So I mentioned it earlier about a lot of players now are fixated on what they see on YouTube and highlights and stuff like that. But there's so many players that, you know, can do so many technically great things, but can't do the basics like pass the ball 5 yards or run in a straight line, or there's so many different basic things and manage exactly even things like that. Or, you know, take a pass first time and shoot first time. There's so many things. So I think players have to really work on them basics, because once you've worked on them basics, you could be, you know, a very average player but really good at your basics, and a lot of managers will take you on that premise. So I'd say right now the most important thing for boys is working on the basics and also just getting their fitness in. They have to be fit, especially in this modern game. It's such an important part of their game.
Yeah, and obviously tomorrow you've obviously got a long day.
Yeah.
Heading away to MK Dons. What can we expect from the boys tomorrow?
It's going to be I'd say a very physical game. You know, I mentioned to the boys earlier, a lot of their under 18 boys are on the cusp of playing for the first team and are getting loaned out to different, you know, step 2 to step 5 clubs. So it's going to be a very challenging game. They're very aggressive, very quick playing team. And most importantly as well, they've played with each other for a few years now. So they know
chemistry will be there.
Exactly, they know how to each other tick. Whereas our boys, a few of us have played each other last year, but we've had a few new additions. So, and especially with the new formation change. So it's going to be tough. I think if the boys just stick to the game plan and implement things and they work hard, we should get a good result.
Perfect. Dillon, appreciate it, bro.
No worries, cheers.